John was just a boy. He had skin the color of rich earth, a smile that could light up a room, but the world did not always see his light. Instead, it saw his skin, and it judged him for it. Words like sharp stones were thrown at him. They called him names. They told him he was less. The words stuck to him. They clung to his small frame like a heavy cold coat. He would run home from school. Tears would stream down his face, silent and hot. He tried to tell his mother, but the words caught in his throat. How could he explain a pain so deep? A pain that had no physical wound but hurt more than any scrape or cut. The playground should have been a place of joy, of laughter and games. For John, it was a battlefield. Other children would not play with him. They would form circles and whisper. Their eyes would follow him. He felt like an animal in a cage. He was always on the outside, looking in. He wanted to join. He wanted to swing on the swings. He wanted to slide down the slide. But an invisible wall stood in his way, a wall built of hate and fear. He started to build his own wall, a wall around his heart. He learned to be alone. He learned to be quiet. But inside, a storm was brewing, dark and powerful. His anger grew with each passing year. It was a small seed at first, planted by a cruel word, watered by a hateful glance. It grew roots that twisted around his soul. The anger became his only friend. It kept him company on lonely nights. It whispered to him in the quiet moments. It told him he was strong. It told him that the world was the enemy. He started to believe it. The boy with the bright smile disappeared. In his place stood a young man with hard eyes, eyes that had seen too much darkness, eyes that now looked for a way to fight back, to make the world feel the pain he felt. The anger needed an outlet. It spilled out of him. It started small, a fight at school, a broken window, but it grew. The small acts of defiance turned into bigger ones. He found a group of boys who felt the same way. They were all lost. They were all angry. Together, their anger became a fire that burned everything it touched. John became a leader. He was no longer the scared little boy on the playground. He was dangerous. He made others feel the fear that he had lived with for so long. He pushed the world away. He hurt people. He thought this was power. But it was just another cage. One he had built himself. One rainy afternoon, the world changed. He was in a small coffee shop, hiding from the storm outside, and from the storm inside him. Then she walked in. Her name was Anya. She had hair like spun gold, and eyes the color of the summer sky. She moved with a grace he had never seen before. She was from a different world, a world of sunshine and easy smiles, a world he had only ever seen from a distance. She ordered a coffee. She turned, and her eyes met his. For a moment, the world stopped. The anger inside him went quiet. He saw no judgment in her eyes, only curiosity. Anya smiled at him, a simple, genuine smile. It was a gesture so small, yet it felt monumental. No one from her world had ever smiled at him like that. He was used to fear. He was used to suspicion. Her smile was like a crack of light in his dark world. She came and sat at his table. "Is this seat taken?" she asked. Her voice was soft. He just shook his head, unable to speak. They started to talk, about small things at first. The rain, the coffee, the city. He found himself opening up. He told her things he had never told anyone. He did not tell her about the darkness, but he told her about the boy he used to be. They started to meet regularly. They walked in parks. They talked for hours. John learned about her life. She grew up in a big house with a white picket fence. Her family was loving and supportive. They traveled the world. She spoke of different cultures and new experiences. Her world was so different from his. His was a world of struggle, of survival, of fighting for respect. He listened to her stories with a mix of wonder and sadness. He felt a pang of jealousy for the life she had, a life where she was accepted, a life where she was free. But he was not jealous of her. He was happy for her. For the first time in years, John felt something other than anger. He felt hope. Anya saw the good in him, the person he could be, the person he had buried deep inside. With her, he was not the dangerous man the world saw. He was just John. He started to laugh again. He started to dream again. He fell in love with her. It was a feeling so powerful it scared him. He wanted to be a better man for her. He wanted to leave his dark past behind. He thought that maybe with her he could. He thought that her love could be his salvation, his way out of the storm. The differences between them were vast. They were like two separate rivers flowing side by side. John's life was shaped by struggle. His culture was one of resilience, of music born from pain, and of community forged in hardship. He tried to explain this to Anya. He told her about the unspoken rules he had to follow every day to stay safe. The way he had to change how he spoke, how he dressed, just to seem less threatening. He tried to make her understand the weight he carried, the constant awareness of his skin color, a burden she had never known. He felt she was listening, but he was not sure if she could truly understand. Anya, in turn, shared her world with him, a world of privilege and opportunity. Her culture was one of ambition, of believing that anything was possible if you worked hard enough. She did not understand the invisible barriers John faced. She would sometimes say things that showed her naivety. "Why don't you just leave that neighborhood?" she would ask. Or "People should just see you for who you are." He knew she meant well, but her words sometimes felt like tiny cuts. They reminded him of how far apart their realities were. He loved her, but a small part of him felt more alone than ever. How could she love him if she didn't understand him? One evening he noticed something strange. Her phone rang. She walked away to answer it. Her voice was low and serious, not the light, happy voice he was used to. He saw a flash of something in her eyes. It looked like professional seriousness. It was a look he had seen before, but not on her. He saw it in the eyes of police officers, in the eyes of authority figures, the people who saw him as a threat. A cold feeling washed over him. He tried to ignore it. He told himself he was being paranoid. He was just afraid of losing her. He was afraid the darkness would find him again, the feeling would not go away. He started to pay more attention. He noticed how she asked questions. They were not just curious questions, they were specific. She asked about his old friends, about the things he used to do. She asked about his anger. At the time, he thought she was just trying to understand him, to help him. But now, her questions seemed different. They seemed calculated, like she was gathering information, like she was putting together a puzzle, and he was the final piece. The hope that had bloomed in his heart began to wither. It was replaced by a familiar, chilling dread. The truth came out on a cold, gray morning. It was not a dramatic confrontation. It was quiet. It was devastating. He found a file she had left on her laptop, a file with his name on it. It was an official intelligence service report. It had his picture. It had details of his past. It had notes on their conversations, every shared dream, every whispered confession. It was all there, documented, analyzed. Anya was not a girl who had stumbled into his life. She was an agent. Her mission was to get close to him, to monitor him, to use him. Her love was a lie. Her smile was a tool. The entire relationship was a job. He confronted her. The look on her face was not one of love or regret. It was the look of an agent whose cover was blown. She was calm, she was professional. She said it was for the greater good. She said he was a danger to society. Her words were cold and sharp. Each one was a stab to his heart. The hope she had given him shattered into a million pieces. The anger he thought he had conquered came roaring back. But this time, it was different. It was not a wildfire. It was a cold, empty void. He felt nothing. The world turned to gray. The man who had started to heal was broken all over again. The ending was not a big explosion. It was a quiet implosion. John did not seek revenge. He did not lash out. The fight was gone from him. He had been betrayed by the world. And now, he had been betrayed by the one person he thought saw the real him. He simply walked away. He disappeared back into the shadows he had tried so hard to escape. The lesson was brutal. Trust was a luxury he could not afford. Love was a trap. The system that had hurt him as a child had now used the most beautiful thing in his life to break him completely. It was a cruel, perfect circle of pain. This story is a tragic echo. It shows how the wounds of racism do not just disappear, they fester. They can turn a person toward darkness. It also shows that compassion and connection can be powerful medicine. For a moment, love was healing John. But the final lesson is a warning. When we judge and fear others based on their background, we create a cycle of pain. We use people as tools. We forget their humanity. John's story is a reminder that empathy is not a weakness. It is the only thing that can truly break the chains of hate. Without it, we are all just lost in the dark, creating more shadows.